Hi, everyone. I'm Raymond Benson. Welcome to Hooked on Leiter, an episode by episode unpacking of The Hook in the Eye, my Felix Leiter novel. The folks at Ian Fleming Publications and I had this idea to do behind the scenes videos for each episode, much the same way that streaming television series do after an episode drops. Now, you'll probably all know by now that these were conceived to be supplements to the serialized ebook episodes. But due to some technical difficulties that none of us expected, those ebook file updates just didn't work the way we were led to believe they would. The entire novel was thus released on June 24th. Nevertheless, we decided to go ahead and post these Hooked on Lighter episodes at 2 week intervals over the summer as originally planned. Please note that almost all of them were already recorded before we made the decision to release the entire ebook. So these videos are still very episode centric. We hope you'll receive them now within the context in which they were intended. Again, a warning. If you haven't read the chapters discussed in these videos, there could be some spoilers. Hi, everybody. So we're at episode 3. This begins with Felix doubling up on his surveillance of Dora Wasaki, and yeah, I think he's developing a thing for her. He finds her attractive. Maybe the mystery about her intrigues him too. Um, you know, he's a lot like James Bond, his buddy. Throw an attractive woman into the mix, Bond's going to go there. Whether it's very dangerous to do so and totally inappropriate professionally to do so, there's a lot of red flags flying. But Bond's going to go there, and he and Felix are two peas in a pod. I think they're of like mind in that regard. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Um, I got to play with some more Manhattan landmarks in time, such as the Horn and Hard Art Cafeteria. This was a real thing. There were various locations in New York City at the time, very, very popular places. They were also in other East Coast cities like Philadelphia. When I first moved to New York in the late 70s, a couple were still there, and I did manage to go to one and try it out. You put your coins in the little slot, and there's a little window that you open up, and you pull out your piece of pie or whatever. Uh, it was kind of fun and quaint, but sadly they're gone. They're a relic. Um, Felix gets into Dora's apartment. He snoops around, finds some things you'll need to keep in mind. There's that first mention of Odessa, Texas. That's my hometown. There's the character of Ava Spence, Dora's sister. Seems like there's coming up some kind of rift going on between them. There's that name Bogdan Appelkov. Um, is he the same young soldier in the photo with young Dora? Chapter 9, we get more information from Steve Sandlin of the FBI. By the way, General Dwight Eisenhower's home on the Upper West Side of Manhattan was really there at the time because he was president of Columbia University. Of course, he had to resign that position as soon as he was elected president of the United States. Anyway, we learned that that cryptic note, Hurricane, that was found in Adamski's apartment, that was Operation Hurricane, Britain's first test of a nuclear weapon, October 3rd, 1952. This was a very big deal at the time. It meant that now 3 countries on the globe had nuclear power. So, of course, there was a lot of activity in Eisenhower's house. We also learned that man, Gregory Titov, who was murdered in the Ansonia Hotel, that he was a Prometheist. There's that word again. And if Karl Adamski was in league with Titov, maybe he was a Prometheus too. I don't know. Uh, we learn about a guy named Jan Bartosz, who was once Adamski's roommate. Look, these are just things to keep in the back of your mind. Felix uses the New York Public Library to translate the newspaper clipping he found in Dora's apartment. And sure enough, Bogdan Appelkov was murdered by student radicals and intellectuals. Could they have been Prometheists? Whatever. Um, Dora was likely in love with him back in 1939, just before Germany invaded Poland. Well, finally, Felix and Dora meet. They have a conversation at Cafe Dante, a real place that still exists today. Um, we get to a big plot point. Dora inquires about hiring Felix to accompany her to Texas. So, what's her game? Well, he's intrigued by her, and that mystery looks like he's all for it. And he meets Michael Brinkley after that at Sardi's, which astute Fleming readers will remember as the place where Felix takes James Bond for lunch in Diamonds Are Forever. It is a landmark location. It's in the theater district, complete with those caricature drawings of famous people on the walls. It's still there, and it's a wonderful place to go if you're ever in Manhattan. Um, we get that first mention of Smersh. Obviously, Felix would like to get some revenge on those guys for what happened to him in Florida. And what, there's this Smersh assassin in the country, a pyromaniac, likes to blow up stuff? Hmm. And then Brinkley does this unorthodox thing of backing the idea of Felix traveling with Dora to Texas, an assignment that he would arrange through Pinkertons. Again, I think this is something Fleming might have dreamed up to skirt around the legal issues. Well, Felix and Dora make their plans to drive across the country because Doris won't fly, and well, trains in America are not what they are in UK or Europe. They just don't go everywhere, and it's why most people drive in this country. We have that incident outside the Pinkerton building in Lower Manhattan. This is what we storytellers call the point of no return. That is, it's a major plot point at the end of Act One, which is where we're at right now. There's that Buick, the motorcycle rider attempting to shoot at Felix and Dora, the man in the Buick throwing an explosive at the cyclist. Was it dynamite? Is this guy Marco? Is he the Smurfs agent? Who was the cyclist? Why did he want to kill Dora and Felix? Well, you'll just have to keep reading, folks. Ah, yes, the road trip begins in episode 4. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, this is Raymond Benson signing off. See you in 2 weeks.